So what are myself and more than 1,000 realtors from across the state of Florida saying about our local real estate market? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to share with you this month in our real estate market update. So I just had the pleasure of spending the last week with realtors from across the state of Florida at Florida Realtors Midwinter Business Meetings, where we discussed a number of topics, including the current state of the real estate market and what's projected in 2022. So, what was all the buzz amongst the realtors? Well, a few things. Number one, an interesting point is that the biggest wave of millennials are now in their mid-30s, which means they are in their prime home buying years for some time to come. And let's pause and think about this for a minute. Who are they buying those homes from? Well, they're buying them from people like me, people in Generation X, and there are a lot more millennials than there are Gen Xers. So that means that inventory constraints will continue to exist. Now, when you add on top of that, all the retirees that are still moving to Florida, and we know retirees in Florida are a pretty big deal, and you combine them with millennials purchasing home from Gen Xers, we know that's going to put a lot of pressure on the real estate market. Another point was that the typical age of first-time home buyers usually ranges between 28 and 33 years old. But the typical age of a repeat buyer has actually increased significantly. And repeat buyers' median age actually got all the way up to 56 years old. So that means that people in this category may actually be looking to downsize instead of upgrading their home. And if they do, when you combine all of this together, that could be additional pressure and competition for first-time home buyers out there. And one additional factor, the real estate market is positioned well. However, we've talked about the fact that interest rates are expected to increase. And in fact, some are calling for predictions that the 30-year fixed rate mortgage may reach as high as 4.5% by the end of the year. Now, that's essentially what we experienced a few years ago, and if that happens, it will certainly impact buyer demand and their financing. So we'll see the market begin to shift and return to maybe a little bit more of a balanced market, and that's something to pay attention to. So now that you've gleaned a little information on what to expect and what's to come in the coming months, let's talk about the stats for our local market real quick. Now remember, the stats that I share with you each month are for the month prior. So as we closed out 2021, the median sales price in December surpassed all others and hit another all-time high of $388,000. Now further, it's important to note that our inventory levels continue to remain low, in fact, lower than normal. In December, there were only 2,650 active listings in the market, and this was down by 42% from this time last year. Now, pending inventory pretty much mirrored that number with 2,738 homes under contract and 3,453 homes that actually closed in the month of December. And the time that it takes for a property to go under contract did actually increase again. And as we've been seeing, that's been happening month after month after month. So while you've heard me say this for a while, now still is a great time to list your home for sale if that's something you've been considering. As I've just shared today, there is a shift that will begin to take place in the coming months, which could leave homeowners vying for space in our really tight real estate market. And I want you and your real estate goals to be ahead of that shift. So feel free to reach out so that we can start that conversation today. And until next time, as I always say, stay well.